top of the queen. So once I square up, I have this situation. I have 3 cards, the queen, 1 card, the king, 3 cards, the queen, 1 card, the king. That's all the stack you need. You can do a false cut or whatever you want at this point. Then when you deal, it should be 1, 2, 3. That's the sucker hand. And then 1 for myself. 1, 2, 3, the sucker hand. 1, and the kings. And that's the way to double duke. Hopping the deck is a way of nullifying or canceling out the cut. This technique is used if the cheat doesn't have a partner to false cut. This technique is one of the hardest to perform and the easiest to detect. First version of nullifying the cut I'm going to show you is the cellar keep. As you can see, I have 2 aces on the bottom, and I can keep this for bottom dealing or location play or whatever I want. The cards are cut, and in collecting the cut, the aces stay on the bottom. The way this is done, this is actually an Ed Marlowe idea, is when you're cutting the pack, you're actually letting the bottom cards go right back on bottom, of course, as you figured. You can see the aces start off the bottom, the cut is toward you, and by positioning your hands as covering the deck as much as possible, you're going to lever up half of this deck, so the original bottom half remains there, or just as many cards as you want to keep. You don't have to do the entire half of the deck. And you're going to slide these on the table, just like this. Slide it on the table and put the cards in your hand directly above the bottom portion. So that remains, it keeps the aces on the bottom. The first pass we're going to discuss is the classic pass. The aces are on the bottom. The cards are cut. And in collecting the cut and preparing to deal to the first player, the aces end up back on the bottom. This is the explanation of the classic pass. When the cards are cut like this, and this is for actually all the passes, when you put the bottom half back on top of the top half, you want to do so kind of diagonally, just like that. You can see exactly what's happening here. That way when you pick it up and put it in your hand, you can pull down with your pinky and hold that break right there where the cards originally were. So that's a very important thing to follow with all of the passes. So once again, that move is this. The cards are cut, and in picking it up, you place it diagonally on top. And when bringing it into your hand, you pull down on your pinky to maintain your break on where the cards are. So from there, we'll go into the classic pass. Diagonally, they're picked up here. Now the classic pass, what's actually happening is these cards are being pulled over by my pinky, ring, and middle finger. It's being held in this position. I stick my pinky actually inside the break and hold the top with my ring and middle finger, and then slide this over while lifting this up. So it happens at about this speed. That's the normal speed that it happens, but for learning purposes, it's done just like this. Now an important part of this is, as you noticed during my demonstration, the cards were cut, and then I carried them over this, over that way, just like that, and that's when I did the move. You know, using the theory that motion covers more motion, they'll follow the larger motion. So once again, the cards are cut, put diagonally, picked up, pass as you turn, and the aces remain on bottom. That's the classic pass. This next pass is called the tap pass. The aces are on the bottom. The cards are cut, collected, tapped against the table to make sure they're square, and the aces remain on bottom. This is the explanation for the tap pass. The tap pass is based on the Herman pass. The aces are on the bottom, or you could be using this to retain a top stock. Don't think that it only works for the bottom. The cards are cut. Remember that diagonal placement I talked about. Picked up here, and this is what's happening. This half is coming out like this. Notice how I grip it. My finger moves to the bottom and then levers this package out. Also going toward your right wrist, so it's going kind of backwards at an angle. This is done as the hand is turned down, so it's relatively invisible. Comes down like this, so you're in this position. And then the halves touch each other as you tap the deck to bring the aces back on the bottom. So once again, the cards are cut, remember diagonally placed. So you can see I'm holding the break where my aces are here. Come over, face down, go toward my wrist, and tap to make the aces stay on the bottom. This is the thumb-lick pass. As you can see, the ace is on the bottom. Cards are cut, the cut is completed, brought up, and in licking the hands and preparing for the deal, the pass is done. This is the explanation for the thumb-lick pass. Once again, it's a variation on the Herman. The aces are on the bottom, and in this case I just kept my break like this, but keep in mind the diagonal thing, because in an actual game that's the way it would be done. The cards are cut, the cut is carried and completed. So now I have the break, just as I did before, below my aces. As I carry the cards over here to deal to the first person, I position this bottom half just like this, just as in a Herman. The difference is that I clip it between my pinky and thumb of right hand, so that this hand is now free. I turn this hand over and then collect the packets as I lick my thumb. Their eyes will commonly follow your thumb as opposed to following the deck. So once again, the cut is completed. You're here in the clip position. You rotate your hand here so the thumb is touching the back packet, and as they come together, you come up to lick your thumb. That's the thumb-lick pass. This is the West pass. It's an original creation. The aces are on the bottom. The cards are cut. The cut is carried. And at this point you need to make a gesture over here, whether you're ashing a cigarette or something like that. Square the cards, and the aces are back on the bottom. This is the explanation for the West pass. The aces again are on bottom to show you exactly how this works. The cards are cut, and once again you need to get a break there with your pinky. So there's a pinky break right below the aces. At this point, I come over here and ash a cigarette or make a comment about this guy's chips. When I come back over, this packet is going to pivot, just like that, in between my palms. As this is pivoting, I'm going to grab this back, which is the original top, and turn it face up like that, facing out. This is the one problem with the move, because exposing the bottom card is something that's not allowed, but it'll fly in most home games. I tap the deck on the table, and I make sure that my left hand stays down, hiding this packet from view. I then turn this packet and place it on top of the original bottom packet. Bring them right on top and tap on the sides. And the aces stay where they were. Here are two more methods of passing to play with. You can see the 4 of hearts is on top. The cards are cut like this and collected just like this. 4 of hearts remains on top. This is the explanation to the table pass I just showed you. The 4 of hearts is on top of the deck. The cards are cut towards you, and you pick up the bottom packet deep in the crotch of the thumb. This packet is pinched between the thumb and the index finger. The other 3 fingers are free to do the real dirty work, the move coming up. This packet slides over that packet, and you use these 3 fingers to scoop up the pack that was originally on top, putting the top right back on top. So the cards are cut like this, scooped up deep in the crotch, and picked up with those 3 fingers to ensure the top goes back on top. This is another technique for table passing. The 4 of hearts is on top. Let's say this time your opponent cuts, but he doesn't cut towards you. He cuts away from you. You'd have to do a move just like this. This is the explanation to table pass number 2. You can see the 4 of hearts is on top. This time, as opposed to your opponent cutting towards you, he cuts away from you. You can still do this move to beat his cut. You pick up the bottom portion and hold it in between the knuckle of the first finger and the 3 other fingers on the bottom. The thumb is going to push these cards over to make a ramp, so you can reach under and scoop directly under their cards to keep the 4 of hearts on top. Once again, cards are here. They're not cut towards you, but away from you. 4 of hearts is in this point right here. You're going to pick up this packet, you're going to make the ramp, come over and scoop directly under their cards to keep the 4 of hearts right on top. A glimpse, or peek as it is sometimes called, is a way to ascertain either the top or the bottom card of the deck without any inclination of doing so. Glimpsing is one of the easiest moves to do and provides a substantial advantage. Our first glimpse we're going to talk about is the bubble glimpse, and it's done like this. The cards can be legitimately shuffled, and let's say I just dealt the round out to everybody, and I'm going to peek at my cards, and I can tell the top card is the King of Hearts. This is the explanation for the bubble peek. The left thumb places pressure down on the upper left-hand corner of the deck and slides inward toward the middle finger. Note the grip that I'm in. Slides to the right, and this will peak up, just like a bubble. That's how it gets its name. When this is angled towards you, you can spot the index of the top card. You can see that it's a king. That's probably a good angle for you guys to see that. So, once again with a different card, the cards are dealt out, and I glimpse the top card. I can see now that's the 10 of diamonds. This is the heel glimpse. The cards are dealt. And then in making a motion towards the pot, hey, did you guys ante, you can glimpse the 10 of diamonds on top of the deck. This is the explanation for the heel glimpse, or heel peek. The left thumb is going to pick up on one card, just on the left corner like this, and bend it with the index finger pushing down. That'll cause the card to bend just like this. So if you hold the cards out, you can glimpse the index of the card on top. So in context, you need to gesture with this move. It can't be done just all on its own. So I gesture like that, and I saw it's the 3 of clubs. This next glimpse is called the gambler's glimpse. The cards are dealt, and in an action of squaring the cards, I could see the bottom card was the 7 of spades. This is the explanation to the gambler's glimpse. The gambler's glimpse is used to spot the bottom card as opposed to the other glimpse as we're looking at the top card. This is exactly what happens. While you're holding the deck, your right hand comes over and your thumb is planted right directly at the back. With your left hand, you're going to push up on this deck quite firmly in order to get that card to bend. You can see how that card's bending right there, and it will flash the face of that card right at you. It simply looks like you're squaring the deck. You square, and you can see the bottom card. Once again, the cards are cut, they're squared just like that, and you can see the 5 of spades is on bottom. This next glimpse is one of the easiest ones to use. In dealing the cards, I can see exactly what my opponent has. He has a 3-7. Even if the cards are cut and shuffled, I can still tell exactly what the opponents have. That's a 4, and that's a 3 of clubs. If I fooled you on that last glimpse, don't feel bad. I use the shiner. A shiner is a mirror or any reflective object that you can use to see the cards as you deal them. I prefer to clip the shiner in between the index finger and middle finger as I deal. So I can see that that's the 8 of hearts. I'm just looking right at the reflection of that card as it's dealt. If it was a lighter or cigarette case, you can just peek in it as you deal directly over it. Jack of hearts, Jack of spades. And that's the use of a shiner. If the dirty work isn't done during the shuffle, it can be done during the deal. This brings us to false dealing. The 2 most common types of false dealing are second dealing and bottom dealing. Second dealing is a way to retain the top card, whether it be glimpsed or marked. Bottom dealing is exactly as it sounds, dealing the bottom card to the player desired. Done properly, it is almost impossible to discern a straight deal from a false deal. This is a bottom deal. Watch the aces. We'll say there's 5 players in this game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have the aces if that's what you're expecting. They're actually over here. That's the bottom deal. This is the explanation for the bottom deal. Notice how I hold the cards in what's called straddle grip. A lot of bottom deals are done from master grip or key grip, which is this grip, with the pointer finger at this corner of the deck and the base of the thumb at the other. I hold mine in straddle grip for several reasons, and I'd like to share those with you. One is from master grip, when you bottom deal, you tend to flare these fingers. And by flaring, I mean shooting out like this. This is a big tell for the bottom deal. When you're holding the pack like this, not only do you have more control over the deck with just these 2 fingers, enabling you to pull these fingers out, but also you have less fingers to worry about flashing. Now, another way to avoid flashing is to turn your wrist like that, kind of quickly, so you're dealing out, and when you deal to yourself, you turn your wrist like that. But you're worried about exposing the bottom card to this player. He could find out that you're bottom dealing.